Welcome back to English Chunks Practice. I'm Jake.
And I'm Sarah. And today's word is one that I think makes people physically cringe just hearing it. Because the moment you say it, your brain immediately pulls up a memory you've been trying to forget.
Oh, absolutely. This word has a feeling attached to it. You don't just know this word, you have lived it multiple times, probably this week.
Probably this morning, honestly.
Sarah, what's the word?
Awkward.
Just let that sit there for a second.
See, even saying it creates a slightly uncomfortable feeling. That's how powerful this word is.
That little pause I did, that was almost awkward.
Almost. Okay, let's get into it.
So, at its core, awkward describes something or someone that is uncomfortable, clumsy, or hard to navigate. It's that specific feeling when a situation doesn't flow the way it's supposed to. Something is off, something doesn't fit, and everyone involved can feel it, but nobody knows what to do about it.
And what's interesting about awkward is that it lives in two different worlds. There's the social world, feelings, conversations, relationships, situations, and then there's the physical world, objects, designs, tools that are just badly made and frustrating to use. Same word, two completely different contexts.
Exactly. You can have an awkward conversation with your boss, and you can also have an awkward experience trying to use a badly designed app. The word stretches across both, and that's what makes it so useful.
It's also a word that's very honest. When you say something is awkward, you're not being dramatic, you're not exaggerating, you're just naming exactly what everyone in the room is already feeling, but nobody wants to say out loud.
Naming the thing nobody wants to name. That's awkward in a nutshell.
All right, chunk number one, and I think this is the most universally felt one, an awkward silence. This is a highly uncomfortable pause in a conversation where nobody knows what to say. And the cruel thing about an awkward silence is that the longer it goes on, the more awkward it gets. It compounds.
It really does compound. And the worst part? The moment you become aware of the silence, you can't think of a single thing to say. Your mind just goes completely blank, like every word you've ever known has left your body.
Perfect example. Imagine someone makes a bad joke in a meeting. Maybe it landed wrong, maybe it offended someone, maybe it was just painfully unfunny. And then, nothing. Nobody laughs, nobody reacts. Just 5 seconds of absolute silence where everyone is staring at their laptop screens, pretending to read something very important.
That person has just experienced one of the most specific and brutal forms of human suffering, the post-bad joke awkward silence.
There is no surviving it. You just have to wait for it to pass and then move on like it never happened.
Chunk 2. Feel awkward. This is about that internal feeling embarrassed, self-conscious, or completely out of place in a social situation. It's that moment when your body doesn't know what to do with itself. Where do your hands go? Are you smiling too much? Not enough? Should you be talking? Should you stop talking?
Oh, this is me at every networking event I've ever attended. You walk into a room full of strangers, everyone seems to already know each other, they're all mid-conversation and mid-laugh, and you're just standing there holding a drink you didn't even want, nodding to nobody.
The standing alone at a networking experience is one of the most universally felt awkward situations in professional life. And the funny thing is, half the people in that room are feeling just as awkward as you are. They're just better at hiding it.
That is genuinely comforting to remember. You feel awkward, but you're not alone in feeling awkward, which is its own kind of odd comfort.
Chunk 3. An awkward position or an awkward situation. This one is about circumstances. It's when life puts you in a place that is genuinely difficult to navigate, not physically, but socially or emotionally. You're stuck between two things, and either direction you move, someone gets hurt or something gets complicated.
This one comes up a lot in real life. Being asked to keep a secret from your best friend puts you in an incredibly awkward position. Your manager asks your opinion of a colleague's work, and the honest answer is not a good one. Awkward situation. Two of your friends have a falling out, and they both want you to take sides. Extremely awkward position.
And the defining feature of an awkward position is that there's no clean exit. You can't just decide your way out of it easily. Every option has a cost. That's what makes it awkward and not just difficult.
Chunk 4. Awkward to use or awkward to hold. Now, this one is the physical world version of the word. And this one is so relevant today because we are surrounded by technology and products that are supposedly designed to make life easier, and yet some of them are just badly put together and genuinely frustrating to deal with.
I think everyone has downloaded an app at some point that made them feel like the designer had never actually met a human being. Buttons in the wrong place, menus hidden 5 levels deep, text so small you need to zoom in just to read it. The whole experience is just awkward to use.
And it's not just apps. Have you ever used a kitchen tool, like a specific kind of peeler or a badly designed knife, where the handle just doesn't sit right in your hand? It's awkward to hold. Your wrist is at the wrong angle the whole time. It gets the job done, but it costs you something every single time you use it.
Good design is invisible. Bad design is awkward. And once you feel that awkwardness, you can't unfeel it.
And the fifth and final chunk. An awkward phase. This is a period of time that is unpolished, messy, and slightly uncomfortable. Most people know this from growing up, the teenage years, where everything about you is changing and nothing quite fits together yet. The hair, the voice, the confidence, all of it is in transition and nothing is working in harmony.
But here's what I love about this chunk. It's not only for people. Projects go through an awkward phase. Businesses go through an awkward phase. Relationships go through an awkward phase. Creative work especially. The first draft of anything is almost always an awkward phase. It exists, it has something in it, but it's rough and clumsy and not yet what it's going to be.
That reframe alone is worth the whole episode. Okay, story time, and I want to start with quite possibly the most awkward moment of my adult life.
Oh, I've been waiting for this.
So I was at a coffee shop working on my laptop, and I looked up and saw someone I knew from university sitting across the room. I waved at them, big, enthusiastic wave. They looked at me with absolute confusion, turned around, looked back at me, and I realized I had absolutely no idea who that person was. I had confidently and enthusiastically waved at a complete stranger.
What did you do?
I pretended to be waving at someone behind them who had just left, pointed at the door, nodded like, yeah, that guy, and then I packed up my laptop and left.
You left the entire coffee shop.
I left the entire coffee shop. The awkward silence that followed that wave lasted maybe 3 seconds, but it felt like a full academic semester.
That is a masterclass in awkward. Okay, mine, I once had a job interview that started normally enough. We were getting on well, the conversation was flowing, and then the interviewer asked me what I knew about the company, and I suddenly realized I had prepared really thoroughly for a completely different company. Wrong name, wrong industry, wrong everything. I had memorized the wrong company's entire history.
No.
I sat there for what felt like a week. The awkward silence was so thick you could have cut it. I finally just said, I feel like I have put both of us in an awkward situation, and I want to be completely honest with you. And I just told him what happened.
What did he say?
He laughed for about 30 seconds straight. Didn't get the job, but he shook my hand warmly on the way out, so I chose to call it a partial win.
Against all odds, a dignified exit.
The awkward phase of my career, that was. I came out the other side.
Okay, one more, and this one is about an awkward position. A friend of mine found out that her colleague was interviewing at another company, and she found out because the colleague accidentally sent her the email confirming the interview, thinking she was forwarding it to herself. So now my friend knew something her colleague clearly didn't want anyone to know. She couldn't say anything because then she'd have to admit she'd seen the email, but she also felt weird pretending she hadn't. Awkward position, textbook definition.
That is one of those situations where every single option has a consequence. Say something, awkward. Say nothing, also awkward. That's the defining feature of a truly awkward position. There's no clean door to walk through.
She said nothing. The colleague left 3 weeks later, and my friend still thinks about that email to this day.
All right, let's land the plane. Awkward, that specific, uncomfortable feeling when something doesn't flow the way it's supposed to. Socially, physically, emotionally. It's clumsy, it's off, it doesn't quite fit, and everyone can feel it.
Your 5 power chunks. An awkward silence, that painful pause nobody knows how to fill. Feel awkward, that internal discomfort in social situations. An awkward position or situation when circumstances put you in somewhere difficult to navigate. Awkward to use or awkward to hold when something is badly designed and clumsy to deal with. And an awkward phase, the messy, unpolished middle period before something becomes what it's meant to be.
Your homework today: think about the last time you felt genuinely awkward. Could you describe that moment using any of today's chunks? Because putting a name to a feeling is one of the most powerful things language can do for you. Once you can say, "I was in an awkward position," or "that was an awkward silence," you own the moment, instead of the moment owning you.
And remember, awkward is not the end of anything. It's almost always just the middle.
The awkward phase, as they say.
As they say. Thanks for listening to English Chunk Practice. See you in the next episode.
Stay curious. Survive the silence.